Hello, my name is Finn, and welcome to my director's presentation for my creation for the Power of Veto, the musical Fifth End Washington, a musical farce, all taking place within an Applebee's. Before you watch this video, please read through the plot description. I'm going to run through this director's presentation as if you know the plot already. So if you don't know the plot already, you're not really going to understand what's really happening. Also, I have to keep my voice down because my parents are asleep. But my gain is up really high so that you can still hear me. Yes, so, before we get into it, this is taking place on a proscenium stage. For those who don't know what that means, that's just like your typical stage that has like an elevated platform, an audience, and a giant proscenium slash what you would call like a window, I guess, dividing the audience, whereas a different kind of stage like a thrust would be the audiences surrounding it. I just thought I'd explain that. So yes, this will be a proscenium stage. So let's go on to the set. So the set should be an interior Applebee's. There should be an entrance on the left side, or at least I pictured it on stage left, and a table on the table on the other. Sorry, that should say a bathroom on the other, but anyways. A bathroom on the other side, and there should be tables on the middle. I pictured 3 tables so that you could have the strippers on one table, an empty table in between, and the criminals on the other table, so that there's that space between them, so we have plausible deniability that they can't hear each other's conversations. It should look like a normal Applebee's. The images I included in this are images that invoke what an Applebee's looks like. This isn't necessarily what the set itself would actually look like. This is just kind of the mood it should invoke. As for lighting, I didn't mention this in the previous slide, but I would divide the stage in half. The upstage part would be the actual Applebee's itself, and downstage would be an empty space that is reserved for numerous different methods of storytelling and dance numbers, solo numbers, all of that would take place downstage, whereas the Applebee's itself is upstage. So for the upstage, it should look like an Applebee's. Now, Applebee's has some really low lighting, and I think we should try to get this really dim-looking light. There should be some light coming from above, but it should be really low, and the rest of it should be lit up with, I think, practicals to really give off the vibe that Applebee's gives. Anyone who's ever been in Applebee's, you know what I'm talking about. These lights really do most of the work, and everything else is just kind of there, mostly to support it. And I think you could actually use practical lighting for these. If you can acquire these lamps, even better. So, for the lighting in the downstage area, like I said, it should be a blank space that can be used for a number of things. At the end, there's a big dance number that resembles a Scooby-Doo chase scene, some jazz dancing, and of course there should be a kick line at the end. So all of these different styles of lighting should be invoked. I think there should be like, there's that one number where Chad is trying to seduce Chase. That should give off a strip club vibe, and it should happen downstage, stuff like that. Just a lot of different things going on downstage, all kinds of different lighting. This is where the lighting designer would really get to play with some different kinds of lights. And now let's get into the costumes. So Jenna and Chase have a fairly similar concept. They just got done with a heist, a robbery. They should look like bank robbers, but without, like, the extra stuff. Like, they shouldn't have, like, a ski mask or anything like that. They shouldn't have gloves on, They should just be wearing blacks, kind of like a stagehand would look. So this is kind of the vibe they should have when they're wearing. They got off of a heist, but, this is kind of their very basic level disguise, something they wouldn't necessarily be recognized in, but they didn't really have time to change out of their heist outfit completely. And their hair should also be a little bit disheveled. I included this image to give you an idea of what Jenna's hair might look like after everything that's gone down. They should look like they just went through some shit. Now, my favorite part, Bruno Thickham and Chad Cockwell's costumes. They should look like cops, but they should have it should be plausible deniability. Like, at first glance, you could believe that these people are cops, and Jenna and Chase, they would also believe that these people are cops. But upon closer inspection, you can tell that they are not actually cops, but are actually strippers. I think Bruno should look like a really muscular dude, Typical kind of guy you would see in a strip club. I picture Chad Cockwell being more of a twinkish appearance, which makes his character's name a little bit ironic, but there's just an idea of what you would have. I included the stripper cops from Arrested Development, and this wouldn't necessarily be a costume, but I think it's one that could be used later on in the show, perhaps towards the dance number, perhaps when Chad Cockwell is seducing, what's his name? Chase. I think it would actually be really funny if he lost his pants and started doing a straight up strip, and yeah. So that's what they should look like. Now we have Maxine, the waitress. She's a typical waitress, but she has years of experience. She's had to deal with some crazy people, some Karens, stuff like that. She should be a friendly demeanor on the outside, but on the inside, she is one hard-ass bitch. She's not going to take shit from anyone. She ends up being the one to start what becomes the entire chase scene. Yeah, all that crazy shit should invoke her. The costume should be pretty simple. Should just be like an Applebee's costume. And then, of course, at the end, we have the real police officers. These guys should look like actual cops. And when they come in, you should be able to tell, like, when side by side with Chad and, when side by side with the strippers, you should be able to tell that these are actually, cops and the strippers are actually strippers. This one's fairly simple. Also, for these two characters, gender doesn't necessarily matter. Gender, race, none of that really matters. Race doesn't really matter at all for this entire show. Gender does kind of matter for certain characters, but for these two characters, it really doesn't matter. And that is it. Thank you for watching my director's presentation. If you like it, please, please, please vote for me to win this veto. I could really use it. Thank you for watching.